Hello and welcome to another demo video for LanguageOps. Today I'm going to walk through a complete project from upload to delivery and just show you some of the features we have in play. This is obviously the projects page, and we can quickly filter through our projects using various filter criteria, but let's just go to create a project for now, and we'll call it demo walkthrough. Why not? And then we're going to skip client, but that would be useful for pre-selecting TMs and various things for you. Let's pop a deadline in there so we can see how that works. And the text I think I have prepared is just a French to English. But what you can also do in this project, or you could do monolingual editing, for instance, or adaptation to language variants. If we'd selected Spanish, that would show up there, or you can adapt to different kinds of French as well, as one might expect. So let's keep French and English in this case. Workflow type. I do have an automatic end-to-end process, which I quite enjoy using actually. It's great to see the translation done automatically, the QA run, the LQA run, wider context taken into consideration, fixes done, and then the delivery at the end with hands off completely. So that's something we'll look at another time, but for now we'll do what most people would want to use a tool like this for, the manual PM driven process with translation, revision and proofreading. Workflow steps sort of prepared for you. Down here we have style guides. We've essentially condensed the rules of these style guides and pop them into place. We also have, for varying languages, sort of academic style guides that pop up when you select the correct language. They can be quite useful just to give like a base level of quality or rules to your output, but this is not necessary in this case. So we've gone for a standard conversion. We've put a lot of work into file engineering using LLMs, so you could ask for the blue text only to be translated, or column C, or all manner of only titles, etc. In this case, we'll do a standard conversion, and that should be processed on this page. We have the file prepped, and we're dropped into the project workflow. So we get the language shown clearly in case of multiple language projects, and all the actions that we can take on the file shown in these toolbars here. Filtering is also possible. Sometimes we have projects with 150 files or more, so you may like to search for them by stage or by language. That's all possible from here. And we have options for the linguist. So project controls, we can block delivery on open comments or QA errors. We can auto advance workflows once a project is complete. Just say this happens out of hours, the linguist finishes. That will then get sent to the proofreader, for instance, who will then be able to take over automatically and not wait for the PM to come in and then allow it to proceed. We also have the ability to allow or disallow linguists to use various tools and QA features. QA doesn't use LLM tokens. This is purely mechanistic and code based, whereas LQA and pre-translate, auto-translate do. And then the ability to add and edit terms to the term base or to the dictionary as well. We can also have some options around character limits, with further options on CSV and Excel imports where the character limits are in a dedicated column. So we could have 5% over the source, and we can count tags or not as well. And I can show you, I could show you how that shows up. Let's go with 0 for now. So same as source. That should be saved automatically when clicked. And then further down we have analysis. Let's quickly run an analysis. So that's done over here. We won't need to include TM matches. We're not actually assigning a TM yet. And a nice quick check. We have internal matches by the looks of it, and most no matches. So we have an effort score That's slightly lower than 100% if it was completely original every segment, so we have some repetition. And that just gives you an indication, especially across a lot of files, of how much repetition or TM matches that we've picked up. So 33% leveraged here essentially, which is the inverse of the effort score. TBs we can add here, and TMs we can add here, and we can maybe consider adding something here, but there won't be one for matches in this case. TMs we have here, and we can add context here. So some notes for the linguist, and also for the LLM, if we're doing an LLM translation, that can all be added here, style guides and whatnot. But we also have some further prompt rules to be added below. If we enable these, we have a whole host of potentially useful pre-written prompts, essentially. So keep brand names unchanged, acronyms unchanged, style and tone, formal, informal, domain specific, So we can set these just to give you ideas of what to use, or you can write your own custom instructions there. And that's again for the AI translation if you'd like to do that as your first pass. So let's click into the file. And I wanted to make sure the editor loaded quickly. That was always like kind of key for me, to make sure that, we had a nice smooth experience for the linguist, because as someone who worked with cat tools for nearly 20 years, maybe just tipping over, that was key for everything. So I was a big fan of the faster tools, the ones that could handle bulk files, that had excellent sorting, that had all the features that sort of you might want to work with big texts, essentially, which we've built in here into the filtering and searching toolbar. And we also have lots of options along there. Hover should give you tooltips that will let you know what each item does. But here we have the 4 stages of a workflow, essentially. Research is more for the AI translation side. It'll search the web for jargon and related client or industry terms, essentially, surface those and give us a wider context for the translation that's then fed into the LLM on translation. We have an auto-translate, a QA, and an LQA. So right now, let's just run an auto-translate. And we have GPT-5 Mini running this one, although that's just a basic model that should do the trick. We have whole document mode, which is sometimes useful. We are already sorting the translation into batches before we send it, so we have really wide context around every translation, but sometimes you want to pass it all in one, and that can actually be beneficial, or you can use it for different kinds of outputs, but we can cover that in another video. Let's just do a straight translation for now. No need to include TM matches, we haven't got one attached. Another feature, we look across language TMs, which can be useful for Spanish and Italian, or Portuguese and Spanish texts where you just want to check what the other linguist did and what their kind of approach was. You might want to align with that. Same with German and Dutch, Swedish and Norwegian, etc., etc. So let's leave everything more or less as it is. We don't need to use existing translations. There aren't any, but that won't affect if we leave it on. And we can group internal repetitions, so that will propagate the first repetition down and save having to pre-translate the same thing, especially if there are thousands of the same instance. So that's underway. We have a progress bar. We can click the details. It's hard to get a very fine-grained progress bar. We try and update in batches, but because there's only one batch here, it should just go from 0 to 100 essentially in this case. And there we have it. So that is the English translation. You see some red text here. This is because we set those character limits. So we've gone from 19 characters in the source, which is shown down here, or in the tooltip on the length column, and anything you type over the source will throw a QA error because of the overrun. Tags brought in faithfully, we can move those around as we please, or we can delete those, and we can also find tags down here. We can expand and contract them to read just what they're saying, and because this was a Word doc, it's got runs and hyperlinks and various things in there, but most linguists don't need that. Sometimes translating code or HTML, it's useful to know which is bold or italics or new line, but in this case it's not so useful. Right, so we've got an AI translation in place. I haven't proofread it, but what I'm going to do is QA. So this will run 38 criteria, very similar to other QA tools on the market, and it in fact includes all of those criteria and more in terms of technical checks. So we're looking for case mismatches, lengths, formats, missing quote marks, full stops, trailing spaces, leading spaces, and so on. So we can just run that quickly. And in the sidebar, okay, so that's done. In the sidebar, we get a list of all the QA issues, 43 in this case. So I can click here and it will go straight to the segment involved. Let's expand this. It's pinned already. So here, yeah, source and target are identical as expected with the URL, and we can ignore that. And if we wanted to look at the ignored segments, if we are the QA team, for instance, we can do that. And we have character limit now being exceeded in cell 3. We're happy with that. Let's ignore it. And so you work through your text like this, fixing errors. If you wanted to just hone in on the errors, you can filter by here, segments needing review. And if you scroll down, you can actually read a little bit more detail about sort of what does source and target being identical mean? Well, it wasn't translated, but it can be okay for product names, URLs, as we said. Hectares happens to be the same in English, so that works. And you can see here that we've ignored this one, but can restore if we think it's a false positive or something that didn't need to be ignored. And we get a score as well for the QA. So that's the QA check. Let me introduce an error really quick to something and we'll do an LQA. I'll just put Spain on the end of this one. And then actually let's just LQA that one for the sake of speed right now. Selected segment only, and we won't fix the quality issues just yet. Let's just run that close to run in the background. And that should be pretty much quite rapid. So we can just scroll down here. Let's unpin this. Sorry, I've zoomed in a little bit. LQA issues still running. I see LQA analysis here. Let's close that one. So this is a little bit slower, probably in the order of the translation. So if we'd run the whole LQA over the whole text, it would be a similar time, maybe a touch longer, because it has to go to the LLM, get thought about, and sent back. Whereas the QA checks are all done on the server. So here we have the LQA issues. So some minor ones in terms of the wrong apostrophe being used. And then sometimes clients do care about these things, so can well be important. Wrong country to the region. Here we go. That's what I added into the mix, and that is a major locale convention issue. So we use the kind of MQM, the matrix there, and just try to, cover as much ground as possible with like fluency, design, style, accuracy, and so on. We have a critical as well for the same error. Target text incorrectly appends Spain, which is false. So it's had a good think about, the region, and not many other tools could really do that very easily. So let's select that segment again. One selected segment, fix LQA. Let's see if the fix comes in nicely. And I think I can close this and work in the background. That was all resolved. Yeah, it continues in the background. Results will be available when complete. So let's close that. So while that's working, I'll just show you quickly the comment section. This will send alerts to the PM and linguist involved. Let's say there's a quality issue, and then the linguist can reply done, and the first commenter can mark as resolved, and now the workflow can complete. So previously, that if the setting is set, that can block completion of the job because something needs addressing, essentially, and that goes green when resolved as well. It's yellow otherwise. And we can filter, of course, for comments. So you can see the fix came in, and voila, we've removed Spain. And so we need to update the LQA now, really, although it is marked as fixed, so the system knows that has happened. LQA was rerun after the fix, and 6 issues still there, so special characters are in place. Region name with the special characters, M-, suggesting using a hyphen. So this is the LLM correcting itself, which is a strange concept because you wouldn't think it would make the mistake in the first place, except LLMs do, and sometimes they have their own style depending on the model, and you can use different models to do the LQA as well. There's a lot of rabbit holes when you open it, but there are ways to get a good result on the first pass, or the best result on the first pass, using previous work, translation memories and term bases. These all feed into the LLM, and it prefers anything that's fed to it, essentially, which can be misleading, so you need to make sure they are the approved terms and everything is correct. And then we go here to the history, and we can see who did what. So this user, admin, made the change, and some notes, LLM fix. And if we want to go back, if we really wanted Spain, to be where the Côte d'Azur are, then we can hit revert, and that will put the segment back as it was. Not strictly necessary in this case, hey. So when done, we can approve all. Let's just go for that. Everything is approved quickly, and we can go to mark complete. So this will be our part of the job done. We'd hand off then to the review, in-country review, whoever is assigned that in the workflow. That would be back here on the project page, and you can assign people there, set their deadline for each stage. And what you can also do is add a stage. So this could be the in-country review by one of your team members, and you can decide if they are writing to the TM or not, depending on what you need. So then you can assign your linguist there, and linguists are free to add to the system, so feel free to do that as well for that extra level of check before it goes out. Okay, so back into the editor, we have export, and from here we can either export an XLIF or the original file. XLIF would be, obviously, if someone wanted to work in another tool, that's fine, that's possible. QA issues, they can all be exported alongside the source and target, so you can work your way through those offline and then bring those online when ready. Same with LQA, and same with edit distance. If you want to show your client how much work or editing was required, either not much because the quality was good, or a lot because lots of tweaks were required, this will be your proof here. And that will that's actually visible here. So we've got a 5% tweak in this segment, so minimal editing in this case. But if you wanted to look at the Jacquard and Laverstein distances, they're all here as well. I know for some people that's important, as well as checking like what kind of tools were used, but we have a lot in the audit as well of how things were translated and where things came from in the memory and what actions were taken. So we've exported the final file this way. now that's downloaded. And here is the final file. I've just opened it in LibreOffice for now. As you can see, it's all in English with Côte d'Azur still in France, thankfully. No change there. And yeah, like I say, we do have the end-to-end option, which would have automated that whole process. The fixes would have gone in, it would have removed the M-dashes, followed your instructions. Just to finish off then, we have marked the project as complete down here, and that has locked all the cells essentially, so we can't edit those until we're in the revision stage. The reviser essentially, whoever it's assigned to, will be the one doing that. So when they log in and access the file, all of the approved cells are ready to reapprove. They can just walk through and read it all and hit approve all, which appears to top right as we did earlier, or they can go through with a fine-tooth comb, run all their QA checks again, make sure everything here is addressed. Anything new comes up, they can address that. Also answer any comments and whatnot before bouncing it back, reverting it to the linguist if required. They have concordance to support them if they needed. So this is the project TM, which is created by default just in case, so nothing ever gets left out of a TM, but you can write that to any TM that you'd like, including ones that are synced with other TMS tools like Phrase, Localize and various others. So that would be the concordance feature. We also have, let's find, so we have the TM match system here. Now this, we worked hard on this to make it as good as the best of the legacy system. So like all of your major cat tools that you can think of, we got the search over gigabyte TMs down to 9 milliseconds. So we can just grab all of your fuzzy matches and throw them in, and then the LLM can then use those to improve its work. And we kind of feel like that's the best of both worlds. The same with TBs. We do case matching, and if it doesn't match case, then that comes up in the QA. And you can see the source of sort of where all the TMs came from, and decide what to trust, see the difference between any entries and whatnot as well. So that essentially allows the QA reviewer person to really get a feel for what the alternatives are, what the choices were, and confirm everything on their end. And I think that pretty much wraps things up. You've seen how the editor works, the project management page. You've seen the options available to linguists and to PMs. You've seen some analysis, and we'll do more of that as we go on. Multiple languages, multiple files. We do need to go over cross-language TM still, so I'll do that in another video. And also it would be nice to see a full end-to-end translation with full context of TM and TB, and I'll set that up for you on another video. But that's all for now. Thank you very much for watching. If you have any questions, contact me on LanguageOps.com, Luke at LanguageOps.com to talk to me directly, or one of the team will pick up otherwise, and we'll be back in touch with you. Yeah, I'll leave it there, and good luck translating. Thanks very much.